Well, it's really hard to talk about a person like Helen, and what David said is true. She was always right. I first met Helen in 1969, and I remember to this day the first sentence she ever said to me. You ready? It was over at the University of Minnesota, and somebody told me that this new lady down there was a German Shepherd dog judge. So we were ready to buy a dog, and we knew nothing, absolutely nothing about buying a dog. So I walked in the room and introduced myself and said, I'd like to buy a collie and I'd like to show it. What do you think? She turned around and she said, I don't want to offend anybody, what do you want a dumb dog like that for? First word she ever said. Anyway, we went to her home, we got a dog from her, she took us to our first show. I'd never been to a dog show before, she sent me in the ring. Never even seen what you're supposed to do. And on the way to the show, we stopped the van and she said, we're going to exercise the dogs. So, exercise the dogs means run them. What do you think she said after that? Anyway, that's how we started. She came to our house, she told us what we had to do to have a dog from her. She made us join the parent club. So we went to our first national in 1969. She made us join this club. And we had to do all that before we even got the darn dog. Anyway, it's been like that for all these years, and I think we probably learned in 1 year from her what would have taken 10 without her. So there's no other person like her, and our club is so lucky to have someone so famous come from here. Anyway, it was not too long after that that she started judging, and you could tell how much she loved the dogs in the ring. In fact, by the time she couldn't judge anymore a few years ago, she had almost all the breeds. Anyway, like David said, she was a very alpha person. She was always right, and there's no way you're going to get around that. And she usually was right anyway. So, this club was started in 1950, so I'm going to tell you how Helen got her first dog. She went to Jack Sinnigan, who was the only breeder in the area at that time, and that was the Seeing Eye Dog Foundation that he had, the LaSalle Kennels. I don't know, there's probably only 3 or 4 of you that even know of it, that are sitting out here. Anyway, he sold her her first dog that she was going to show, and it was a long coat Monarchic. She took it to the ring and got excused. Can you imagine? She went back to him. She got another dog. It was a long coat, yellow-eyed, long-snooted. So she and her husband, Dr. Miller, at that time decided the only way to get a show dog would be to go to Germany. So they went to Germany and they got Belko, who was a wonderful dog. I think it was her most favorite all the time. They went and got another male named Kuno, which is in a lot of the pedigrees from the old days. These were all Shih Tzu dogs, so she learned how to do that. And then got 2 more bitches from Germany, and that was her foundation. But then she didn't breed a whole lot after that, because in about 15 years is when she really started judging. But everything she did was about the dogs. And so this club was so lucky to have somebody like that. And let's see. It was 1965 that she started judging. And if you were in the ring, you might get yelled at. You might get excused. You might be told you don't know what you're doing. But the dogs were always perfect. She was so alpha that all the dogs loved her. And you could tell it. And I'm going to talk about a few highlights. I think she had every office this club ever had. And she was active in the club for over 50 years out of the 65 years that it's been active, been here. And she's been a member of the parent club since 1953, and she served as a member or membership chair, I think, for like 30 years, been on the board. Think how much work that was, to go 4 times a year somewhere in the country to be on the board of the National Club. She was the first woman ever president of the National, and that still holds today. She was president from 1985 to 1989, and her most traumatic thing when she was president was representing the United States with the SUV, or the SV in Germany, and they don't think a whole lot of women over there in the SV. So you can imagine that one. Anyway, and she was also a founding member of the Minnesota Purebred Dog Organization that is here, and that's what we do at the fair. That was started in 1971, and part of that was to work on legislation for the betterment of dogs. So she was a founding member also of that club. So you see, I don't really have anything else to say, but she's going to leave a big hole for everybody in the country. And I don't know if anybody else has a story or two about Helen. Ginny? Ginny might have a story. She's known Helen for a long time. I know she's digging deep.
You got a whole lot of notes?
No, I didn't want to forget. Helen was my mentor. She introduced me to serving on the board of directors of the German Shepherd Dog Club of America. She introduced me to serving on the American German Shepherd Dog Charitable Foundation and got me involved in a lot of things that I might never have participated in. I know that she's with us today. And Helen, this is for you. You dwell in our memories and our hearts, now abide in his place of light. In this place you will know no tears, and will meet again on the other side. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bearing on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. He holds Helen in the palm of his hand.
Thank you, Jenny.
I think that definitely